So we have gone from the Barber of Seville to the Barbarians on the Hill. This is the Savage Nation talking about all of those things. You know, you listen to Rossini's Barber of Seville. I heard it the other day in a car. I said, I got to play it for a minute, take a chance. Look how fast this man's mind could be. Listen how fast it was. Pre-drug mind. And you have musicians today, so-called musicians. They're basically barbarians, faking it as musicians. Everything is ersatz, the painting, the music, you name it. A collapsed, broken society with false idols everywhere you turn, whether they're false preachers or false musicians, whatever, false scientists, whatever you want to do, wherever you turn. Ersatz. You know what I'm saying? Mayonnaise, not butter, whichever way you want to look at it. Margarine, not butter, whichever way you want to look at it. Olive-like, not olive, And you ask yourself, how did this happen? How did the people become so denatured? And it's mystifying, actually, to think. It doesn't happen overnight. So if you think you're going to turn it around overnight, you're mistaken. When a thing like this happens to a society, it doesn't turn around overnight just because you know it, or because 1 million of us know it, or 10 million of us know it, or 30 million of us know it. You got to remember, it's a world of 5 billion people. Most of them live in the darkness of getting and spending. The darkness of getting and spending. The darkness of buying and selling. The darkness of entertaining themselves and shopping. The darkness of looking at sluts in Hollywood as the role models, not Martha Washington. The darkness of looking at fakers in Hollywood who are pretending to be heroes when the real heroes of the world are never seen nor heard, whether they be in Afghanistan or in Iraq or in a hospital room or at a ward for crippled children. You never see these people. And so we live in the darkness. That in some ways it's worse than the darkness in the Middle Ages. In some ways, although we are certainly better off physically than our ancestors were, although that's debatable unto itself, would you say that we live in the light, living in a society that we live in today? You know, you look at men in the suburbs, the white suburbs. You say, oh, that's the lily white suburbs. It's all good there. And I see men with children and wives. They're probably decent people. They dress like boys. I just look and I don't understand it. How can a grown man walk around with shorts, I ask myself, and a hat on backwards pushing a stroller? Does he look at himself in the mirror? I mean, I'm not the sartorial expert of the world, but there's something in that image that I feel as though like from another planet sometimes. A grown man pushing a carriage wearing shorts and a hat on backwards trying to look like an 11-year-old boy. How does this happen? The father looks like Beavis and Butthead. Anyway, from the Barber of Seville to the Barbarians on the Hill was the little quip. Now we're going to play the Brandenburg Concerto by Johann Sebastian Bach. And think how we've fallen from the Brandenburg Concerto to crack music and whiny chick music in department stores in just so short a period of time. And you're telling me the dead white male has nothing to teach you? I would argue to the contrary. Let's hear a little bit of the Brandenburg Concerto so you know what greatness is. Does the mind still hear this? Does the American mind still hear any? I don't know anymore. Am I allowed to come out from behind the curtain? Can I come out from behind the image? Am I allowed to show this side of myself to you, the people, the listeners, the wonderful listeners of the Savage Nation who have given me so much love, respect? Dare I play a thing like this and tell you how it breaks my heart to play it? To think that we live in a debased society where goons from the gutters are held up as role models for your children to look at. Goons from the gutters held up as musicians when they are nothing. They're not musicians. Goons from the gutters held up as artists by con men in the record companies and the movie companies. Goons from the gutters held up as role models, and you wonder why every minute they pull out a gun and shoot each other. You wonder why boys pull out a gun and shoot each other at a moment's notice because goons from the gutters are held up as role models. You're taking your son to a concert to hear the Brandenburg Concerto? Of course not. That's not a concert. A concert is a bunch of drugged, stoned out sex maniacs throwing themselves around on the ground. That's a concert today. Yeah, all right, say it's just the rantings of an old man. What do I care what you say? You know, I'm as much a hedonist as the next man. I can enjoy myself as much as you can. I can guarantee you. I know how to enjoy myself. I know how to have a drink. I know how to have a good time, believe me. But that doesn't mean I have to roll in the mud with the pigs in order to have a good time. And it means that I can tell you when the pigs are rolling in the mud of your mind, if you don't mind. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. Just play it for a minute, and I'll come back to my reality here of politics as usual on the Savage Nation. Politics as usual, the barbarians on the hill running our lives. Big sis in charge of Homeland Security, stripping the braces off a 4-year-old boy. Big sis in charge of Homeland Security. Defense Secretary Robert Gates saying I'm not going to go there when the word Muslim came up. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying he's worried about the consequences of an attack on Iran, not knowing which side they're playing for. You don't know which side of what team are they playing for. You don't know it. We don't know it. There's nothing clear for us anymore. The government is confusing us by telling us that they don't know what to do, except to control us, not the enemy. Yeah, bring in more Muslims so they can become cab drivers and deny blind people and their seeing eye dog the right to a taxi ride, and then protect the Muslim cab driver, saying it's his religious right. Don't you understand what's happening to your country right in front of your eyes? Because you let liberalism, the mental disorder, take over the nation? That is why we're losing it all. It's a philosophy, Jake. It all starts with a philosophy. As so many times have I quoted Blake, the great 19th century poet, who said, the eye that alters, alters all. Don't you remember that quote? And I'm trying to say it to you because I'm not trying to prove how smart I am. Listen to what Blake was saying. The eye that alters, alters all. Once the eye is altered, meaning if you're a little nuts, everything is altered. And so we have a government now with altered eyes that have altered all. That's what he was trying to say. They may as well all be on LSD for how they're treating the people of this country. They may as well all be stoned out of their minds on some kind of drug, which is not to say they are, but they may as well be, because their altered eye has altered all. That's what we, the people, are trying to say to them. The people know more about their lives than the government does. The people know more about a balanced budget than the government does. The people know more about not taking in any more immigrants than the government does. The people know more about these things than career bureaucrats who have never created a product or a service that anybody ever wanted. Because if they did, they would be on a welfare line themselves. They would never have produced a product anybody wanted, and that's why they're in government. And so they continue to produce services nobody wants with your money. And now you wonder why people are angry? Why there's a rebellion in this country? You can call it a right-wing rebellion if you want to target the right. I don't care. Say what you want. I'm proud to say it's a rebellion on the right, but believe me, it's a rebellion from the middle. That's the one thing the New York Times didn't get right in that article, amongst others. Tea Party lights fuse for rebellion on right. It's not a rebellion on the right. It's a rebellion from the center. This is a rebellion of the middle class. This is a rebellion of Joe and Sarah. This is a rebellion of people who have worked hard all their lives, and they've lost their jobs, they've lost their houses, and they don't know why. And they see fat cats on Wall Street getting bailed out by Obama, who talks the talk but doesn't walk the walk. A man who says he's for the little people and supports the big people who put him in office. A man who says he's to taking on the banks when in fact it's the banks who took him and put him into the presidency. It's a man who says he's for balancing the budget when he breaks the budget. It's a man who deals with the biggest money trader on planet Earth, who could break the dollar overnight and then say, whoops, I don't know how that happened, even though I just had dinner with him because he visited the White House 35 times, according to the White House logs. So we're not so stupid. It's the age of the internet. Most people know what's going on. It's not 1950, suddenly it's not 1967 either. And that's all I want to say about that, and I'll be back.
Savage.